going to convene the Municipal Building Authority meeting for the council to have. It'll be a short meeting. We'd ask to convene that, and just we need an approval of the minutes for November the 6th. If I could have a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the minutes for November 6, 2018.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We'll now adjourn the Municipal Building Authority. Okay. Now call to order the City Council meeting. I'm going to ask Joe Tarver to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's see, do we have any scouts in the room? I guess not. Okay, we'll now move to special recognitions. The first special recognition will be a Murray City Council Employee of the Month, Rebecca Cox, Murray City Police Officer. Chief Burnett and Brett Hales will be presenting. I guess, Joe, you'll be presenting on behalf of the chief. Thank you.
Please excuse the chief. He had emergency that he had to.
Thank you.
That he was put away.
That reminds me, we're going to excuse Dale Cox from tonight's meeting. He's excused. Yeah.
Okay. Right, come up, Maya. Yeah. Come on up, Rebecca. Well, Rebecca, we started this program about 7 years ago, and it's been going strong. And so as a council, we wanted to show appreciation for all your hard work. And you've been with the city 7 years. Seems like 107, doesn't it? Anyway, but we appreciate all that you do. And so here's a certificate from the council. Your name's going to go back on that wall. And more importantly, there's $50 for you. Isn't that the most important part of it? But anyway, but we just wanted to show our appreciation for all that you do, and we know we have a lot of great workers and employees, and Joe and Craig have given great praise for you, and they're going to read something for you right now. But we, as a city council, wanted to show our appreciation. So thank you. Thank you.
Good. Rebecca has done a wonderful job for us, and we are constantly searching for new officers to come in and work for the police department as well as Murray City. But I'd like to read some of the things that Rebecca's involved in right now. Okay. She's almost been here for 7 years. The last school year, 2017, she was tasked with the assignment as the DARE officer. She was responsible for teaching the DARE curriculum in all the elementary schools in Murray. This assignment has been embraced by Rebecca, and she has had many great relationships with the school personnel, parents, and students. Recently, Rebecca accepted the assignment to oversee the cadet program also, where she serves as a mentor. She's doing a wonderful job with all of our cadets. The cadet program is set up so that they come out and they actually assist us in many ways. They do property checks for us. On the 4th of July, you will see them out manning posts and doing some traffic control for us as well. But some of the cadets do have aspirations of becoming police officers. I don't know if many of you know, but Chief Burnett was also a cadet. City many moons ago.
Wow.
Came through that program. But she's a great mentor to these young men and women, and a big asset to our police department. She's involved in our program with the COP division, where we have issues that are going on along the parkway with the homeless and transient situation, and trying to get those folks some help. Along with Sergeant Halford, which is in the room also. And when she's not doing that, she's also out working on patrol, handling those calls that come in from domestic violence to the cat stuck in the tree. I'd also like to point out too that not too long ago we also awarded Rebecca a life-saving certificate because of the situation that we had down on State Street, 6400 South State Street, where we had someone that was attempting to take their life by jumping off the overpass onto I-215. Rebecca was there to assist in trying to talk this individual down and kept him busy until our fire department, and through many efforts of the fire department and police department, we were successful in getting him down safely. But she's a credit to the police department as well as Murray City.
Outstanding. Rebecca, do you want to acknowledge your family members, if there are any here this evening, and maybe even say a word or two?
She snuck right out. Look at her.
Yeah.
My daughter, would you stand so that I can help you? This is my daughter, Kelly.
Great.
She's one of my prides and joy. But thank you so much. It really is quite an honor to be awarded this, and a surprise. But thank you, and thank you for your support. And I have 18 more wonderful years and look forward to every one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Rebecca, I just want to thank you for being such a wonderful officer. I had an experience, I'm not sure if you remember. My grandson came to visit City Hall, and you happened to be out in the parking lot, and he's just so enamored with police officers, and it was awesome that you also happened to be a woman, and he was just so excited to see you. And anyway, so you lifted your trunk and you gave him a wristband and a pencil and stickers, and anyway, that had a big impact on him. So thank you so much for being you and for being so thoughtful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, in my eagerness to recognize our Murray City Police Officer, I skipped the approval of minutes. So if I can get an approval of the council minutes for November 6th, I would appreciate that.
I'll move to approve the council minutes for November 6, 2018.
Well, second.
Okay, and do we go to Brooke on that, Jan?
No.
Yes. He's excused. That's okay.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. We'll now move to a wrap-up report from Miss Murray of 2018, Jessica Christensen, Mayor Camp presenting.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. It's as you know, each year we have the opportunity to participate in the Miss Murray Scholarship pageant. It was held this year on September 25th at Murray High School. And it's been a tradition here in Murray for the new Miss Murray to come in and present her platform to the council. But we have, to my knowledge, we have never had a report from the outgoing Miss Murray until now. And I think that that's something that's really important for us to do, especially when you look at the incredible year that Jessica has had this past year in representing Murray. So I do want to acknowledge and recognize Jessica. So Jessica, would you come up? See if I can stand up. Do we have the? Do you want to talk before the video?
I can talk after.
Whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, I can talk after.
In fact, why don't I turn? I'm going to turn the time over to Jessica to speak, and then I'll make a presentation after you speak after your video. Okay, does that work? Okay, great. It's all yours.
And then are we able to pull up the video?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my year as Miss Murray has been amazing, and it seems like yesterday that I was standing here before everyone, and speaking about what I wanted to do for my year. So those of you who don't know, my platform over this past year has been Hold On, Pain Ends, the acronym of HOPE, and it's depression awareness and suicide prevention. And it's one that's very near and dear to my heart, as it's something that I personally struggle with. And over my year, I've been able to speak to elementary schools, junior high schools, and high schools about my platform and kind of share my story and what I went through. And the video will kind of show a little bit, but I wanted to talk about one of the events that I was able to hold, actually two of them. I was able to hold a Princess Tea party, and it was the day after my birthday, so it was the best birthday party I've ever had. We had over 300 little girls and boys attend, and we were able to raise over $1,000 for Primary Children's Network. It was amazing, and it was a fun way to raise money, but to also branch out in my community and create bonds with these little kids. That was my Princess Tea party, and then another event I was able to hold was a Hope Walk, to hold it for my platform and to raise money for depression awareness. And so we raised over $1,100 for depression awareness and suicide prevention, which was amazing. And at this event, we had, I don't know how many people we had so many people come, and more specifically, we had a family come. Over 30 people from this family came for this little boy, 17 years old, and he had just committed suicide the month before. And so this family came with broken hearts, and it was still very raw, and they were able to come and support him at my walk. And I was able to have names submitted before my walk, in which we had flags for each of these people who either dealt with depression or who completed suicide. And so it was neat to walk the path. It was in Murray Park. We walked the path, and along the entire path were names of these people who either completed suicide or deal with depression. And the family of 30, it was very neat to have them there and to walk in behalf of him and many other people who struggle with mental illnesses, as it's such a prevalent illness within our state and especially across the nation. And so it was an honor to hold that Hope Walk for our city, and I cannot express the ties and the relationships that I've been able to create over my past year, and how much I've been able to grow as a person. You know, getting up in front of a bunch of people and telling them about my story, especially as it's very personal. But I found that as I expressed my story and as I reached out and was vulnerable about what I went through, I found that a lot of people opened up to me as well. And sometimes that's just what they need to hear. They need to hear that someone that they can look up to has dealt with the same things that they're feeling or they are struggling with. And so it was really neat to go into these junior high schools and say, you're not the only one, and it's okay to feel this way. And so that was a wonderful experience, and I'm grateful for my city and supporting me in all my adventures, and grateful for the memories that I was able to have. And today I wear a semicolon necklace, and to remind myself that this year was not the end, that this year is only a beginning to the many more events and the many more stories that I'm able to tell, and the many more differences that I can make in my community, in our state, and just reminds me of the fact that this will keep going, and I'm excited for many more things to come. And then we'll play my video.
Congratulations, your new Miss Murray 2017, Jessica Christensen. Look at how many shoes I have. This is just the beginning. We're in for it. Paper shoes for Aqua Pops. Woo!
A water study was done by Dr. Emoto to show the power and effect that words can have.
Be happier when the morning comes and we see what we've become. In the cold light of day, we're a flame in the wind, not the fire that we begun. Every argument, every word we can't take back, 'cause with all that has happened, I think
Who are you guys walking for? Brayden.
then only for a minute I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, but no, that means I'll have to leave.
Representing Murray today is the Murray City Royalty, Miss Murray, Jessica Christensen. First attendant, Ashley McBride, and second attendant, Mary Hall.
I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier. When the evening falls and I'm left there with my thoughts, and the image of you being with someone else, well, it's eating me up inside. But we ran our course, we pretended we're okay. Now if we jump together, at least we can swim far away from the wreck we made. Then only for a minute I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, but no, that means I'll have to leave.
How many of you feel sad when one of your friends is sad, or one of your family members is sad? Yeah, me too.
No, that means
My younger self wants to hear it.
Love is making the best school in isn't it? Yeah.
I want you to be happier. So I'll go, I will go. So I'll go, I will go. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier. Even though I might not like this, I think that you'll be happier, I want you to be happier. Then only for a minute I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, no, that means I'll have to leave. No, that means I'll have to leave. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier. So I'll go, I will go.
Jessica, I need to have you come up again. So, as you can see, council, we've been very well represented this year by Jessica. And sorry about that. I watched that video. I also have a brother who was a victim of suicide. But I was going to do that. Anyway, thank you so much for your representing us so well. It's been a pleasure to know you, and I wish you the very best. And I did want to say, you saw in the video the DARE graduation picture, and going to the DARE graduations were always a lot of fun. And these are always family events. I always love to see Jessica's parents and sisters there. She told me early on that her mom was her paparazzi. But anyway, just want to thank you for your, I'm presenting you with the Mayor's Award of Excellence. We've just started doing these. And says presented to Jessica Christensen, Miss Murray 2018, in grateful appreciation for your outstanding service to the city and the residents of Murray City. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, would you like to introduce your family?
I'll have my mom stand up. And this is my mom, Catherine, and my dad, David. And then my grandpa is actually here today. That's my grandpa in the back, so that was a fun surprise to see him.
That's great.
But I'm grateful for them, and I couldn't have done it without them. So.
Jessica,
you.
Dave, can I ask a question?
Please.
Jessica, I want to ask, what was you spent this whole year doing this and very impressive. What did you find that was the most important thing to help these young people that are going through depression or thinking of taking their life? What was the most important thing that you could do to help them?
I think within junior high and high school, you feel alone. You are constantly putting yourself down. And I think just a reminder that they are unique. And every single time I'd go around and speak, I'd tell them there's only one of you. And you should be proud of that. And you should love yourself for all your flaws, for your nose, for your face, for your eyes, because you're the only one out there who has those qualities. And so I think reminding them that they are important and that they are loved, and it never hurts to hear that and to feel that. And I think that was the most important thing, because all of us, not just kids in junior high and high school, we all need to feel love, and we all need to be reminded that we are great and we are important. So I think that was one of the most important things that they could have heard from
Thank you.
when I talked.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other recognitions from the council? I want to acknowledge Jessica and her outstanding work, and someone who's acquainted with those who have depression. You've served them well. Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to introduction of Miss Murray 2019, Savannah Angle, Mayor Camp presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned, the scholarship pageant was held on September 25th, and the new Miss Murray is here this evening. It has been tradition to introduce the new Miss Murray each time, and she will have an opportunity to present her platform to us this evening. I'd also like to recognize that her first attendant is Kristen Bredding and second attendant Julia Cheshire. And I got to tell you that Savannah has already hit the ground running a big time, in a big way. She's already been busy promoting upcoming events. She was involved in the Haunted Woods. She's already been in one of the 12 parades that she'll get to be in. Crafting with third graders. She's been to ribbon cuttings already, and already two DARE graduations. And so she has definitely hit the ground running. And before I turn the time over to you, Savannah, for your presentation, I want to recognize Lisa Lloyd, who's here every year, who's been the face of the Miss Murray Scholarship Pageant for many, many years. So thank you, Lisa, for being here and supporting Savannah this evening. And so with that, I'd like to invite Savannah to come up.
Well, it's a good thing we have an IT department to keep up with these Miss Murrays, isn't it? Yeah.
What a tough act to follow, I have to say. Jessica, I feel like I have such big shoes to fill, and so I'm honored to be here, so thank you for having me. I don't know if it's... Great, so as is mentioned before, my name's Savannah, and I was just barely crowned in September as the new Miss Murray, and my social impact initiative, or what used to be called platform, they've changed the wording since Miss America organization has gone through some changes. And so with Miss America 2.0, we don't call it a platform anymore. We call it a social impact initiative. And so my social impact initiative for this year is arts and education. Now, just a little bit about me, so that you know who I am. I grew up in Murray Community Dance, and I was a graduate of Murray High School in 2014, and I feel like Murray has always been my home. I attended the University of Utah for 2 years, and then I transferred to Brigham Young University, where I will graduate this spring with a BA in dance education. I will complete my student teaching in dance at Granger High School over in West Valley beginning in January, so I'm very excited about that. And I also am a Color My Nails School of Nail Technology graduate. So I am a licensed nail technician just over from Midville. Just some other fun things about me. I love my car. If you ever see a light blue Volkswagen Beetle, that's where I am. Always running around in Murray everywhere. And I could not live without peanut butter. So as Mayor Camp said, thank you. I've only been doing this job for 2 months, but I've been so busy already with so many things. I was able to go to San Diego and attend the National Dance Education Organization conference and meet with lots of educators from around the country about bringing dance education to schools. I was able to present my social impact initiative at the Utah Dance Education Organization conference at the state level. I have volunteered in Hope Walks, presented at the Dacey Day of Dance in Utah, like they said, the Haunted Woods, the Murray Haunted Tales contest. We just had a ribbon cutting for a beauty supply store on State Street. That's so exciting. The Miss Utah pageant, DARE graduations, Missoula Children's Theater, the Veterans Day Parade. There's been, I could go on and on. The list is so large, so it's very exciting. So my platform, or my social impact initiative, excuse me, I'm trying to be so good about the wording, is I just feel so strongly about the arts and how they have impacted me and also impact children and all of us. So I believe that experiences in the arts bring people from all different walks of life together and can teach tolerance, love, and acceptance amidst a world that is so harshly divided currently. Arts education in America needs a resurgence due to all of the creative skills and benefits it provides students, as well as an appreciation of unity in diversity within the community. Now, I think arts education just brings exactly what this world needs. So my plan for this next year, I want to expand the elementary arts programs and funding, including rewording the grant so that it doesn't only fund music programs, but it funds visual arts and dance and drama in all the elementary schools. I would like to begin connections for a dance program in Riverview Junior High because Hillcrest and Murray High School have one, and they're the only ones that are left out, so I would love to do that for them. I feel strongly about advertising for the current arts community that we already have here in Murray. We're so blessed and we're so richly populated with the arts here. We have so many programs. I plan to do personal days of dance where I will go in and teach creative dance lessons in all the elementary schools. And I also want to use this as an opportunity to mentor students at the junior high and high school level and bring them with me and have them perform and teach in the younger children. I want to teach dance at the Boys and Girls Club as well. And I plan to bring Arts Fest back, but Arts Fest 2.0, sticking with the theme. So Arts Fest will be held in the springtime, and originally this was only for high school students, and it was a high school event, but I want to revamp it and make it a whole huge community event with live performances and musicians and local artists and all these sorts of things, food trucks, and bringing the community together and just having a fabulous time, arts appreciation. So you have something to look forward to already. Put it on your calendar. Thank you so much. I am so excited, and please find me, email me anytime. I would love to connect with all of you and see what I can do to help you as Miss Murray this next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Savannah, would you introduce your support group?
My support group, yes. So my mom will stand up in the back. This is my mom, Becky Engel. she's fabulous. Like Jessica said, her mom's the paparazzi. These moms should really get a sash and a crown too, I have to say. They do so much. And then also, Miss Lloyd has been a mentor of mine for many years. I was on dance company in high school, and that's how I became acquainted with Miss Lloyd. And she's so fabulous, and I want to grow up and be just like her. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any word from the council? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our next portion of the city council meeting, citizen comments. This is comments that are not related to the public hearing that we'll be holding. These are comments that are limited to 3 minutes. We'd ask you to step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and there'll be a form that we'll ask you to fill out as well. So if there's any citizens that have any comments, now's your time to speak. Just come up here to the podium and give us your name and city of residence.
Hi, my name is Brian Barrow. I live in Murray, just west of the freeway. I just wanted to ask the council. So recently, the Lieutenant Governor's office has they've said that they're going to allow in local and municipal elections the ability to have ranked choice voting instead of just a binary vote where you vote one or the other. And I was wondering if Murray has plans to implement this, and if there are no plans, what we can do to get that implemented. It's been shown to decrease the hostility in the elections because you're trying to garner support for not just first choice voters, but you also want to be if you're not their first choice, you want to be their second choice. So it decreases the attacks and it decreases the spoiling that happens for third party candidates. So you don't have to throw away your vote on someone that you really like and in favor of the lesser of two evils or something. So I mean, the state of Maine just did it this last election and they had a really good success, and Utah's starting to do it, and I would just like to see Murray adopt that if possible. I don't know if what needs to happen to do that, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Thank you. Any other?
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
Also, if there are any people, any citizens here that are interested in commenting on the resolution to waive unbilled water charges, they can also speak at this time.
I was going to do that under business items, but that'll be fine. Okay. Seeing none, I guess we'll move on. We'll move to the consent agenda. First item is to consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Christy Anderson to the Arts Advisory Board for a 3-year term to be completed January 15th, 2022. Do you want to take them all at once? Should we do that?
Yeah, yes, if
Okay.
that's okay, let's do them all at
that.
once.
That's a good idea. Number 2, consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of Kat Martinez to the Arts Advisory Board for a 3-year term to be completed January 15, 2022. And thirdly, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Nancy Buist to the Arts Advisory Board for a 2-year term to be completed in January 15, 2021. Mayor Camp presenting.
Thank you. I hope you've had the opportunity to look at the resumes. Many of you probably know Christy, and she was here just a moment ago, but she had to leave probably to go to the Arts Advisory Board meeting. And so we're appointing her to replace Alyssa Brousseau, who has completed 2 terms. And then Kat Martinez, she's at the same place also, I assume. Oh, there you are over there, Kat. Would you stand? She is replacing Kevin Westonsko, who has completed 2 terms as well. And then Nancy Buist, if you remember, she was just appointed in August to fill an unexpired term, and so now she will be starting her first full term. So if you have any questions or comments.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We'll move on. We're going to move to.
Need a vote.
Would you like a
Take
motion?
Take a motion, move on to a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as already stated.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Councilwoman. Okay, moved and seconded. Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Let's move on now to public hearings, staff and sponsor presentations, and public comment prior to council action on the following matters. Consider an ordinance relating to land use, amends the zoning map for the property located at 6230 and 6256 South 9th East in Murray City, Utah, from the A1 Agricultural Zoning District to RMB Residential Neighborhood Business Zoning District. Applicant is Valley Mental Health, and Jim McNulty is presenting.
Thanks, Councilman Nick Ponsky. Excuse me. So you see the overhead here, and I'll let the audience know that this is the property in question. It's been highlighted in the red. We've got two properties that are on 900 East at about 6230 South and 6256 South. These two properties, you have the one that has Holly Lane running to the north of it, the northernmost parcel, and then we have 9th East running along the east side of the property, and then Wheeler Farm across the street. These properties are currently zoned agricultural, and they have single-family homes on them that are proposed to be removed to allow for a future medical facility on the property. And so at this time, the Planning Commission and staff have recommended that these properties, because it does conform with our general plan land use map for residential neighborhood business in the area, and that's in a document through our general plan that we just had adopted in 2017. And then our zoning map currently shows that it as agricultural. So what we're looking to do is rezone it to RMB to allow for this medical facility to go in. And you can see, quickly go through it. So this is the existing situation. You can see the two properties, north and south, along 900 East, and the existing residences in place that will be removed. And then what we wanted to show is this development pattern has been happening along 900 East in this corridor, and it's really presented for some nice medical and office buildings along the corridor, and we believe that this would be very similar to that. So as a result, our Planning Commission has forwarded a positive recommendation to the City Council to allow for the zoning map amendment from A1 to RNB for these two properties that are just over 1 acre in size. And staff would also recommend at this time that the council consider that and grant approval as well. Thank you. I'm here if you have questions for me.
Okay, any questions of Jim? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move to the audience for comment. Okay, if you come to the podium and state your name and your city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name's Kaylin Nielsen. I also live in Murray City. So I guess I want to understand what kind of medical facility this is.
We'll have Jim respond to the answer to that, if you want to be seated.
Now, I can speak to that, but generally with the rezonings, we don't get to the uses. We're looking at the rezoning of this property and whether or not it meets our requirements or not. It complies with the general plan land use map that we had recently adopted, and the zone would allow for an office, which is residential in character. In this case, it is a medical office, but generally we don't talk about, that end user or that layout or that plan until we get through the site plan review process.
Okay, so that would be your answer.
Yes,
that's fine.
We do have a medical user that wants to be here.
Okay, that'll be fine. Thank you. Any others?
My name's Kevin Potts, and I'm a resident of Murray City and live in Wheeler Farm Cove. My only question, which you may or may not be able to answer tonight, is there a representative here from Valley Mental Health, first of all? Because my concern is not necessarily day treatment, but having a residential facility across the street where they're actually doing inpatient detox and alcohol treatment in the facility. So I don't know if anyone knows what the planned use is of this office building or not, and I also don't know if there's anyone here from Valley Mental Health.
No.
Yeah, there's.
Oh. You want to respond to that? If you'd like to. Do we have any further public comments? Okay, that'd be fine.
My name is Robert Nielsen. We just live across the street from this proposed development. Our concern is a bit, because we don't know what the use is going to be, relates to the parking, not the parking, but the traffic on 9th East, which is, since the 6 or 7 years we've lived there, it's increased dramatically on 9th East. If this is the kind of facility that has in and out traffic with respect to in-house patients, whether or not we're going to have cars coming in and out, letting people off all day long, because trying to turn left or right into Wheeler Farm Cove or left into that property, depending on where you're coming from, a right turn or a left turn, is not an easy task. Every time we come out of Wheeler Farm Cove, we feel like we're taking our life in our hands. So I don't know what the increased traffic use would be, but I would like to know.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, if you'll come to the podium, please.
I appreciate the comments that have been made so far, and we have those same concerns. I'm wondering.
Your name,
Give us your
please.
name and your city of residence.
Rob Benson. I live on one of the adjoining properties in Murray, and I'm concerned, since my property's right there, with the light pollution possibilities at night. I know some of the properties along there have a lot of light and have it on all night long, and a lot of it comes quite far into the properties, and my property is very close to that. Also, I'm concerned on the plans for the fence, the utilities, how they're going to be taken care of, if they're going to be buried, if the proper fencing matching the others in the area is going to be put there. And is there going to be hearings later on after the planning and zoning is finished and the plot map is put together and the building that's going to be put on there is presented? The height, location, and so forth would be very interested in.
Thank you. Jim, why don't we wait until we've heard from everybody before we have you respond, okay? So that way you can cover everything. Okay, thank you, Jim. We have another respondent.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Larson, and my property, I live here in the city of Murray, and my property is adjacent, directly behind this property. And I understand that this might not be the correct time, but I just wanted to bring to your attention that the existing building that is kitty corner from our properties has both light pollution and an alarm system that is constantly being triggered all throughout the night, and it is quite disturbing as the residents that live along that property line. So I did want to see if that would be addressed, as well as what's already been mentioned, the power lines, would those be taken into consideration as they were buried? And then the height of the fence, with it being a behavioral health facility, is that going to be taken into consideration as well? As far as I know, on other properties where it is backing to a behavioral health facility, that they do increase the fence height to 8 feet. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
I'm Neil Christensen. I'm here in a dual role. I'm the grandfather of Jessica. I just happen to live on Murray, or live at the Cove there at Wheeler Farm Cove. We've lived there for about 12 years. The traffic is getting out, as was stated earlier, is really difficult. Sometimes there's a truck or something to the south, and you just can't see oncoming traffic going that way, as was stated, and also hazardous going north. Coming down here today, I went to Vine Street and had to wait, that going north and then turning left on Vine Street, sort of the shortcut here. Seemed like 5 minutes I was waiting for the traffic to get past so we could even get there. There isn't a semaphore, no light there. But if you've noticed, and you're being here in Murray, you've seen how the traffic has increased, I think at least double in the time that we've lived here. And I just don't know how the traffic patterns are going to be worked out. Also, I noticed on your overhead, are you rezoning also the other side of 9th where Wheeler Farm? That is not part of it. I saw part of a green line. I just wanted to clarify that. Main problem, again, a large facility at that corner, I think, would be just horrendous when it comes to traffic patterns and safety of the drivers. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other residents? All right, I'm going to ask Valley Behavioral Health to share now, and then we'll have Jim close.
Thank you. Brad Christofferson, General Counsel for Valley Behavioral Health. So the plan for and I know we don't have to get into this, but Valley wants to be up front. We want to be up front, be good neighbors. The plan for this is not a drug treatment facility. It's not inpatient. It's a day facility for adults with autism. So when currently Valley Behavioral Health operates the Pingree School for Autism up near the University of Utah, we're kind of landlocked up there. And this is going to be a facility where when students graduate or age out of that facility, we would have another facility for them to come to during the day. So it would operate at business hours only. It's going to fit within, there's some pretty rigid height restrictions on the building and sizing and in the R&B zone. So the other, as far as traffic goes, we're working with UDOT right now on a variance for access. My understanding is that UDOT will not allow a left in on that. And I know Murray will not allow a access off of Holly unless it's emergency access only. And I think we've yet to go through all that, but just in an effort of transparency, the only access off of Holly would be for emergency vehicles if that's required by Murray City. So right now we're looking at a right in, right out only on 9th, and it's going to be as far from Holly as UDOT will allow. So it's going to be pushed up there. We also believe that UDOT is going to require a deceleration lane. So an additional kind of dedication to UDOT of on that east side of the property there, from Holly up to the ingress for the right turn. As far as whatever, we're just in the early planning stages, and we've had some initial meetings with Murray Planning Commission, planning staff. So we don't have all the details on utilities and lights and things of that nature. We have a kind of a vague idea right now of what we'd like to put there. And I know that Murray's already raised some concerns about the size of the facility. Initial thought was the maximum available size that could still park on that piece of property. And I think we're actually going to be, city's actually going to force us to make it a little smaller than that. But it will still be in character with the R&B zone and fit within the look and feel of other buildings that are next to it. So it's not going to be any larger. Right now, the plan for the facility is to have up to 50 individuals that are dropped off in the morning and picked up by 6 in the evening. So there's not going to be in and out traffic all day. I mean, we'll have deliveries and mail and whatever, FedEx or UPS or things like that. There will be a food portion, a cafeteria portion that will be, providing food for the patients and clients that are there. But that's the extent of the plan for the facility.
Okay, thank you. Jim, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, let me do that. So the only property we're considering tonight is the two pieces that have been highlighted on the east side, on the west side of 900 East. So that question, that's one that was asked. We will have a separate public hearing. We have to go through a conditional use permit process.
Explain that, Jim, so that they.
That's
okay.
Thank you, Councilman Hales. So you will receive a public notice, and the applicant will be required to go to the Planning Commission to go through a conditional use permit process. And so that will be sent out to you prior to that date. To get to that process, he's going to have to submit drawings. He's going to have to submit a site plan. He's going to have to show the access to and from the site. He's going to have to show the landscaping. He's going to have to show the building height design. He's going to have to show fencing, lighting, a lot of things that will take him through that process. So it might take him a couple months to get there before it's ready to go to the Planning Commission for them to consider the conditional use. And things such as wall height and those types of things will be considered. This zone, the R&B, we're really proud of it. If you've seen some of this stuff that's been built in the R&B, it's quite nice, and it fits in. It has a residential character to it, so we look to achieve that same type of quality with this project as well. The applicant's fully aware. He's gone on his own to go and meet with UDOT and talk to them about some of these things, and he knows that access from Holly's not likely because we don't want it spilling into that neighborhood. So that's where we're at. We'll go through that full process. There'll be another meeting, and you'll get ample notification of the date and time, and you'll be able to come and submit your concerns and to have a discussion with our Planning Commission that evening. It's probably a few months out, but it will come. That's where we're at.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Yep.
All right, that concludes our community comments. I'll come back to the council now for any further comment or questions.
Well, just to confirm that our decision tonight is solely on the property, the rezoning.
Yes, sir.
To neighborhood housing. Not like Jim said, there will be other meetings that will get into specifics. I want to make sure that.
That is correct, Councilman Hales. That is correct.
And there's actually a reason for that. It's not. I've been doing this a long time. I actually started on planning and zoning. Don't recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But we saw a lot of rezones that would come before us, and my favorite one, because it did generate probably the most controversy, where Mountain Medical building is on Woodrow and off of 54 South. Now there's a bunch of medical buildings. It's a wonderful area. But originally that was a single-story bank, drive-through bank. That's what they came to the Planning Commission for on the zone change. And it obviously is not a bank. I was on when we did Make-A-Wish. They came to us for a general office designation because we didn't have residential neighborhood business. This was up against a residential zone, R18. General office would have allowed a 4-story office building. Everybody liked Make-A-Wish. Who wouldn't? But if Make-A-Wish couldn't get funding, then a 4-story office building could go in there. So actually, in that case, the Planning Commission said, no, it doesn't go with the general plan. We voted unanimously no. The council overrode at the time. I wasn't on the council. They had that right, and Make-A-Wish was built, and it's a great facility. But we don't know if the property that is proposed will be built, and that's why we generally concentrate simply on the zone and whether that zone is appropriate for that area. And RNB was developed for streets like 9th East and Winchester and West 5400 South, where you had homes there. They went from a 2-lane street to a 4-lane street to almost a divided highway, and nobody wants to live there. The homes go into disrepair and decay like the properties on the two buildings on these two properties, and we get complaints to fix it. And so the way to fix it was to allow people to go in there and either take them down and build a building that reflects the neighborhood or rehab the home and use it for a business, because there was a time when that wasn't allowed. And so now we get that up and down Winchester and on 9th East. But so for us, there's a lot of R&B on there, and it makes sense. I am concerned, Jim, about light spillover, because I know our ordinances specifically address that for businesses, light can't spill into adjoining properties. And if we've got issues, I would like to see us take a look at that. But that's the reason why when we say this, or if you come to other meetings and we go, we don't talk about the project, that's why. It's not like we're trying to hide some, it's just you never know.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Turner, do you have anything to add? Okay, thank you, Diane. Mayor?
Yeah, could I just make a comment and follow up to Councilmember Brass's comment and to the point that was made out here? That RNB zoning is a buffer, and it's a good buffer. And so if we are having issues with light pollution, chances are that they're not in compliance. So we would be happy to have our enforcement people take a look at that issue. If you can give us specific information, you can email it to us or talk to us after.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, having had comment from the council and no questions, I would request a motion on the for the ordinance to move forward.
I'll make that motion because it does meet the general plan. I will make a motion that we adopt the ordinance relating to the land use that amends the zoning map for the properties located at 6230 and 6256 South 900 East Murray City, Utah, from A1 zoning district to RNB residential neighborhood business.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. Thank you, councilperson. Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
Dave, let me just say something real quick. Thanks, Mayor and Jim, for
Please.
bringing that up, because I know that'll be much appreciated to look into that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hales. Appreciate that input. Okay, we'll now move on to business items. Our first business item is to consider a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the city, Salt Lake County, and Salt Lake City Corporation, providing for the city's participation in Brownfields Coalition. Jim presenting.
Thank you. I just want to be brief on this item. We discussed this in Committee of the Whole a couple of weeks ago. We had a representative from Terracon, Ben Bowers, there with us, who is working with Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, and Murray City to create and form this coalition. We have the opportunity to apply for grants in the amount of $600,000, which would be of great benefit to the three entities or municipalities, allowing for cleanup for areas that would meet these requirements. We feel it's important. We feel it's a great opportunity to go and see if we can get some grants and use them to clean up properties in areas by our future city center, as well as other areas throughout the city. And then the key here is there is not a requirement for us to put in a match for these grants because they're federal grants. There's not a match requirement, which is pretty common. So, you know, whether we get the grants or not, we're not losing anything. We're not putting, you know, we're not required to put skin in the game. And there's an opportunity for us to have money where we can do some remediation, which is what it's for. We would hope that you strongly consider this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Move this to the council for a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the city, Salt Lake County, and Salt Lake City Corporation, providing for the city's participation in Brownfields Coalition.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. We'll now move on to item number 2. Consider a resolution to waive unbilled water usage charges between April and October of 2018. Denise Steck, Danny Astle, and G.L. Critchfield presenting.
Okay. isn't my normal mouse. So we're going to go over a billing correction that occurred in the water system between the periods of April and October of this year. We're going to need the council to take some action on this item in that we're asking for some forgiveness of some unbilled water fees. So let's talk first about the water fund. First of all, the water fund is a utility fund all on its own. It's like a utility company that relies solely on water fees. So no taxes are received into this company, no general fund revenue, no sales tax, any of that. And no general fund revenue has been or will be used to support a utility. That's actually under state requirements. The water fund currently has reserves in the amount of about $2.8 million, which is about 54% of its annual revenues. The reserves are used to maintain and improve the water system. The Water Master Plan currently has $27 million in improvement projects scheduled over the next 10 years. These projects are funded by the current water rates, or the adopted water rates. So what happened during April and October? The council in, I think it was in January or February, adopted a tiered rate schedule for the water system. This tiered rate schedule was mandated by the state law that would enhance water conservation, or it was intended to enhance water conservation by the users. So the more water you use, the more expensive that water became. So if you only used a certain amount of water, then it was a very low rate. And then the next amount of water you used was at a higher rate and higher rate and higher rate. So it was intended to keep people's water use down. The council adopted this tiered rate structure. It's a very fair structure, and however, when it was communicated to the utility billing department, they misunderstood how to read the billing schedule. And so when they programmed it into the utility billing system, they programmed it more generously than was adopted by the council. So the highest rate of water use and the most expensive water use was actually way, way, way higher. So we'll show you what that looks like. On the left side of each of the right side of each of those charts is what the council actually adopted. So if you can see the very bottom blue area, that would be the first 8,000 gallons of a residential meter on the left-hand side here. So it would be 95 cents for the first 8,000 gallons used. The council adopted that the next 17,000 gallons would be $1.15 per 1,000 gallons. So you could see how that just kind of raises up. And so if you were to use 200,000 gallons, you could see that you would have hit that fifth tier, and all of that between 80 and 200 would be at that higher water rate. However, when it was interpreted and programmed into the billing system, you can see what they did was they added all of the tiers together and gave that much leeway. So that top tier, actually all the tiers are all off. Though the schedule on the right side is actually a large commercial meter. It would be one similar that feeds the hospital, and you could see that same thing happened. So it happened across the board in the same way. The second mistake that occurred during this transition was that the utility billing programmer or person that put the rates into the system made a mistake with the decimal, and she put the rates in at 10% of the actual rate. So instead of 95 cents per 1,000 gallons for that first tier, she was charging 9 cents per 1,000 gallons for that first tier for that period between April and October. That occurred for the people or the entities that had an 1.5 inch meter, which tends to be HOAs and apartment complexes. The third thing that went wrong was that the utility billing system is a very, very old system, and it's actually aged out of its useful life and support. It's called a legacy system right now. We have adopted a new system, but it has not been implemented yet. It will be implemented. Implementation will start in March. However, this system tends to override itself. So there were some rates in there from previous seasons that had an automatic annual yearly update. So it would automatically say, okay, well, November of 2017 happened. Now I'm going to push it to November 2018, and it would automatically override the rates that were already in the system. So it kept overriding itself and causing different rates for different seasons to be charged to different amounts of water on different bills. The third or fourth problem that occurred was that the consumption data that I reviewed appears absolutely inconsistent with prior years. Thankfully, everyone was undercharged. However, their actual report for the amount of water that they used was well in excess of what was used in previous years. And I have to assume that that means that somehow the data came into the system more than one time during this period of time. This one occurred only in April and May. What is the impact? So because of all of those string of changes and errors, we're not able to find the exact impact, but I believe that I have calculated the minimum impact to the water fund was $814,000 of unbilled revenue. What that means is that the residents and commercial entities have received water that they did not pay for, and they were not billed for either. Due to the inconsistency of the consumption data, it's not possible for us to calculate the exact amount of revenue loss, meaning that it would be almost or nearly impossible for us to back bill that 6 months worth of revenue, nor do I think that that may be a wise decision to make right now. What we do know is that every single solitary water user or every single solitary water meter received a financial benefit. Everyone received underbillings. Not one person was overbilled, everyone was underbilled for all of that period between April and October. What we also know is that the water fund is stable right now and has enough reserves in place to continue with our capital project plan for the next several years. That has a lot to do with us receiving the low interest water loan that will be keeping our water department very busy for the next 3 to 5 years, putting our wells in place and extending or expanding the water line on State Street. And so some of those capital projects that would have been using our cash that are in reserves are actually kind of out a little bit, probably out 3 to 5 years. We're hopeful that we'll be able to recover the funds that we're going to need to put those capital projects still in place. However, we do know that this revenue loss may delay some of those projects that are out 3 to 5 years another year because of the loss of revenue. What are our solutions? The billing system has been reprogrammed with the correct volumes and rates. 3 people have signed off on that reprogramming, the treasurer, myself, and the computer programmer behind the system. We have guaranteed that those rates have been programmed as of November 1st. All of the utility bills are being tested independently and compared with the system-generated billing for accuracy. At this point, I don't have a lot of trust in the system, and so we've built a secondary model for us to run all the bills through and then compare that to the system and ensure accuracy. And I'm running that through my department in the finance department so that it's independent of the utility billing department. Policies and procedures are being developed to support the practice of utility billing, and they will include a strong internal control structure. And I will be working on those over the next several months and putting those together. They will be written and they will be published. What is the recommendation? We recommend that the council authorize the forgiveness of any amounts that were not billed by the water fund due to the administrative and technical errors through the period of April through October. And so we will not recover the $814,000 loss. Okay, if we have any questions or comments from the council, I'd be happy to address those at this time.
Any questions from the council?
Just more of a statement that, as I don't know if the word is a hard pill to swallow. I personally really appreciate the transparency of the administration because it's been nothing but that. And I think we're blessed in that area to be able to have that. But yeah, still a hard pill to swallow. But
it is.
Also, I think it's been really helpful to have you go over it with us in advance for me twice. That's, takes a little bit for me, but when it has numbers involved, I appreciate your expertise. So anyway, so thank you also for being so open and educational for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
I think it is important that the change that has been made recently in the reorganization by the mayor's office to bring utility billing in under the finance department was a critical move in finding this issue. And so I think that this reorganization provides a framework for internal controls that we may not have had in the past.
Okay. Do we have anything from Danny or GL? Okay. With that, I'll come back to the council for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we adopt a resolution to waive unbilled water usage charges between April and October of 2018.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Brooke?
Aye.
I knew who you meant.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Well, matter passes. We'll now go to the mayor's report and questions.
Okay, thank you. Just a few things this evening. I know that you're all, excuse me, I know you're all aware of the tragic fire we had yesterday morning over on 7th West in Anderson. That included the loss of life of a young girl, 7 years old, and her grandmother. And I just wanted to mention how well all of us as first responders in the city worked on that and supported each other. The police department was first on the scene, did what they could do, which under the circumstances was not enough. And when the fire department arrived, under the circumstances, they couldn't do enough either to save these two. Luckily, the other people in the home were able to get out. I also wanted to mention the work of the victim advocates over there. They're kind of the unsung behind the scenes heroes in these critical incidents, and they're working with the family and helping them too, and that's where some of the Movember beard money goes to support that fund. So, anyway, so kudos to all those who responded on that. It was a very, very difficult, and our heart goes out to the family. The young girl was a student at Viewmont right across the street, and the school district was involved in helping to relieve some of the shock and the horror of the event for the kids at the school. So just wanted to mention that. Also, we had, you may have heard, it was reported on the news this morning, we had an incident at Ames at Cottonwood High School, the Ames charter school that's in Cottonwood High. 2 students in a cooking class were burned when they took the lid off of a pressure cooker. Non-life threatening burns. They were both transported with 1st and 2nd degree burns, but could have been much worse. But again, our paramedics responded and on that. So we appreciate having our police and fire and medical responders available to us. On a lighter note, the new playground equipment has been selected for Willow Pond Park, which was part of our budget. And the Parks Advisory Board did something that I think was kind of unique. They narrowed the playground down to 3, and then just happened to coincide with the parent-teacher conferences at Viewmont Elementary. So they the students and their parents were able to vote when they came into parent-teachers on which playground they liked the best. And so they've selected the playground, and so that playground in Willow Pond Park will be installed in February, weather permitting. Also, with input from members and staff at the Park Center, The Park Center has ordered 15 new cardio machines just in time for everyone's New Year's resolutions to get in shape after the first of the year. So they'll be installed right towards the end of the year. And finally, Danny reminds us that the work on I-15, the widening project on the 5900 South and 4800 South bridges are continuing and will continue over the next several weeks. And I know that all of you have probably heard. If you haven't heard, you've heard from those who have heard the extra noise that goes on during that construction time. It's unavoidable, but it will be going on for the next few weeks. And there'll also be day and nighttime flagging operations on both roadways as well. So just be aware of that. So that is my report, unless you have any questions.
No questions? All right, then we'll stand adjourned.